forward to having people join in. We are still having people join in, so kindly just hold on while Divesh sir comes in. So friends, this is a quick introduction of Divesh sir. You all can read through it, and I will introduce Divesh sir as well once he's back.
Amit sir, I'll take over from here for a minute.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
So, namaste and good evening to all the participants who have continued from the previous session and all the new ones who have just joined us for this session. It was really a great experience having Mr. Divesh for our first talk in the afternoon for primary mathematics teachers. And now it's the time to hear some of his brilliant ideas for our secondary mathematics teachers. So I extend a very warm welcome to all of you who have taken out time to be at Aadharshila Talks at RRIS. This is the second day of Aadharshila Talks. It has been a great beginning with all of you being our patrons and supporters and guides. We look forward to your continuous support even in the future. We have total of 7 days, 7 working days excluding the coming Sunday for talks at Aadharshila platform. Today is the second day and we look forward to having you for 5 more talks in the coming days. Once Mr. Divesh joins, we will begin with the session. He just logged off for a minute or two as a break. Now before he joins, I would like to take you through his introduction. Mr. Divesh Bathija, a creative educator who completed his post-graduation from University of Westminster, London in finance. He started his venture in the education space in 2012 in the area of mathematics known as Unmath School. The main aim of this venture is to introduce creative mathematics for educational institutions by using SLA method, that is subconscious learning approach. Divesh's several initiatives have been implemented in more than 150 schools across India, UAE, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, and has benefited more than 4,000 teachers and over 50,000 students. And I think the list goes on and on with all of us continuing learning with him and from him. I would like you to know that he met me in 2014 when he was a new entrepreneur who had started with his project of Gamath. He later on added Unmath and Green Math as well. He's a brilliant educator, a very passionate mathematics teacher, an enthusiastic entrepreneur who has got his heart in the right place, who gives complete attention and value to children's learning of the subject in the right way. So it's a great pleasure and a privilege to have an educator like Mr. Divesh with us today. So we look forward to having Mr. Divesh join us back. Meanwhile, those who are non-RRIS staff, if they could unmute themselves and just introduce from where you are and how did you come to know of this talk. We would like to hear you. Those who are not the staff of RRIS, I would like to hear from RRIS staff as well, but we can do on other platforms. So here I would like to give a chance to those who are not RRIS. We would like to listen to you, where you are from, and some of our parents can also join us and speak. Yes, Ms. Jaya,
Yes.
you're on.
Yes.
Go ahead. You need to unmute yourself. I can see Mr. Prasanna.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes,
Am I audible?
yes, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm
This is Ye- This is Prasanna Lingat. I'm from Mumbai. I work in Billabong High International School, which is in Thane,
great.
and I'm secondary maths teacher there.
Wow. So convey my thanks to Kalyani ma'am for passing on the message to you.
Yes, ma'am. She is also there. She is also there.
I met her in the first slot as well.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Can we have somebody else who's interested in speaking to us?
Can
Miss
it be me
Jaya, you
again?
want to? Okay. So
Hello,
we have.
ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, please, Miss
Yeah,
Jaya.
yeah. This is Jaya. I am from Silver Oaks International School, Bangalore.
Bangalore. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which school?
Looking forward. Silver Oaks International School. This is
Oh,
an IB school.
school. Sita Murthy ma'am.
Yes, and looking forward to learn from the session.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Uh,
Just before that, okay, yeah, yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
I am Asha Suresh Kumar. I am from Billabong High International, Thane. I teach IG students.
Oh, that's great, ma'am. What subject do you teach?
Mathematics and science.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great to have you here, ma'am. We'll
Thank
just
you,
wait
sir.
for Divesh sir to join in before we start.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I've joined in. I was hearing your conversation.
And Divesh is here.
Okay,
So
welcome back, Divesh sir.
Hello, everyone.
Divesh,
Namaste once again.
I've taken the opportunity I've taken the opportunity to introduce you already in your absence, though, and now the platform is all yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure you did. I mean, you've already done justice to speak good things about me. But okay, I'll request all of y'all to please mute your mics right now so that we can start with something interesting. Um, I personally feel that ma'am has been very kind and humble. For all that you don't know, I was secretly hearing what she was talking, and while I was drinking some water, and I heard all the good things. So I didn't want to pause her or didn't want her to stop that time. But thank you so much, ma'am, once again. And without wasting any more time, uh, I'm going to be pasting one link, okay? And I would request all the educators on this platform right now to please go on this link. And even I have this link open in front of me. And could you please open this link if, and then I'll just give you the next set of instructions. I hope you all have got a coronavirus live tracker.
Yes,
If
sir.
if you have all of you, if you've managed to open the link, could you just type a yes in the chat box so I know that we are all on the same page?
Sir, in case someone is not able to, do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, I think that would be great if that's
I,
possible.
I'll just share the screen. Just one moment.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this is the screen that we are on right now.
Okay, so are we all ready? Okay, so what we're going to do is in
Yes,
this
sir.
live tracker that we can actually see, you can see different states have been identified. And we did this interesting discussion with a bunch of kids yesterday only, wherein they identified all the states So we'll pick up any, this will be a small assignment for all of you also. We're going to take this assignment a little seriously because we will be uh, connecting this to our current situation, and we'll be covering a concept of how do we introduce uh, math investigation. I am just typing it down on the chat box as well. Math investigation, and how do you inculcate this concept in your curriculum during this hour? So please go on the link, identify about 10 states that you think would be the most affected states. And when you identify those states, when you click on a particular state, you're going to see that, maybe a state like Maharashtra, it would say total number of cases, active cases, recovered, and deaths. So we're going to be focusing on the recovery rate and not anything else. So whatever the number of cases are, based on that, we'll identify the top five states that we think are worst affected, and we will identify the recovery rate of all the five states. So, can we have all the educators just working on this for the next few minutes so that we can then correlate this to different concepts of math? So, I'm just going to give you 5 minutes. Let's look into it. Let's all do it jointly. Okay. Uh, so I'll repeat the instructions once again. You need to look at the link which I shared with you. This link needs to be, I'm sharing the link once again in case you missed the link earlier. This link will give you access to the number of cases that are actually present in different states that you can see across the country. And you will have to identify five states which are the worst affected. And you will have to identify the recovery rates. So when you click on a particular state, you would be able to see four different numbers, which would talk about total cases, active cases, recovered cases, and deaths. So we're going to be talking about the recovery rate and in each and every state. Can we please? So I hope these instructions were clear. If at all anyone needs me to repeat anything, feel free to unmute it. I'm just also doing this task with you simultaneously so that we all are on the same page. Okay, time's up. Um, yes, so we have the details out here. We have Maharashtra 840, but that's the number of deaths. So if you were to identify so it's the number of recovery numbers. Sorry, my bad. The recovery patients upon the total number of cases, and if you multiply it by 100, uh, Maharashtra comes to about roughly 13% recovery rate. So if we could do a similar thing for Gujarat, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh as well. Yes, Tamil Nadu is progressively doing very well. Okay, so we'll just quickly have a quick analysis now. Yes, getting the percentages coming in. Madhya Pradesh 15.6. Madhya Pradesh, are you sure? I think, wait. I think if you take up the recovered upon the total number of cases, so I think then the number would be slightly different for Madhya Pradesh, if I'm not mistaken. It should be roughly about 11 or 12%. Yep, it's about 11.9% for Madhya Pradesh. Gujarat and UP recovery rate is about 11%. MP is about 11.9%, or you can round it off to 12%. Um, Now, anybody could state the recovery rate of Maharashtra? The state of Maharashtra, the recovery rate is roughly about 13%. Swati ji, yes, Rajasthan is about 11.6. Maharashtra, yes, roughly about 13%. That's interesting. Then, okay, so we have Maharashtra. Let's compare that with Gujarat. Gujarat has about 9%. I believe someone already posted that. Gujarat and recovery, I think Gujarat is roughly about 9%. Um, and as Sir very correctly mentioned, Tamil Nadu is showing about 50% roughly. Uh, okay, so let's compare the number of recoveries in Maharashtra versus Tamil Nadu. And let's put down only the numbers, not the percentages, just the numbers. So in Maharashtra, the recoveries is about 840. And in Tamil Nadu, the recovery numbers is about 752. Now, um, so now Maharashtra has got 840, Tamil Nadu's got 752. So in Delhi's got about 808. So we'll compare all the three numbers and we'll try to explore that which state has got the highest as compared to all of them. Ma'am, I've shared the link once again. Delhi, the highest compared to total affected. So, okay, that's about 808 out of this thing. What about Tamil Nadu, which is 752 out of the total number of cases that they had was 1,683. I think Tamil Nadu stands out let's check Kerala also. Okay, that's an interesting part. Tamil Nadu is roughly about 44%, and Kerala is about 72%. Let's check Kerala again. Kerala is a big, good amount of recovery rate. Fantastic. So, with every new number coming in, I think we all have started realizing that only the state which looks recovery is not very great. Goa is 100%. That seems the most positive news to be heard today. So I think Goa should be the winner in this. If you look at it, it's got about 100% recovery rate. I think we all can give it to Goa with 100%. Okay, now can we ask Anjana ma'am if you could join us, unmute yourself if you would like to share a few words about the fact that why do you think we did this exercise? Can anyone guess if ma'am you could suggest anything? Or if anybody else would like to jump in, please feel free to come in and share your views. Anybody would like to come? We have Arunachal Pradesh, another state which has got about 100% recovery. Fantastic. Any teacher, feel free to join in and try to tell me why do you think we did this quick activity? Anybody who would like to feel free to join in?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Hello. So one is to make the learning and application of mathematics relevant to today's time, the current affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Also to teach
Mm-hmm.
them the concepts of comparisons and
Mm-hmm.
prepare graphs accordingly. Also
Mm-hmm.
to understand fractions and percentages,
True.
and how understand
That's
looking at the
true.
big picture, how these concepts make looking at the big picture very easy.
Very true. So thank you so much, ma'am, for jumping in and helping us out. The basic idea was to explain that why do we need percentages? Like the biggest example is Goa had about 7 recoveries and Maharashtra had about 800 recoveries. Just the numbers, if you see, any layman would say that, of course, Maharashtra has more recovery, but when you go backward and you do the calculation and you understand that why percentage was actually used in the first place, it gives you a simple understanding that yes, the number of cases were extremely different. Number of cases in Goa was only 7, so they got all 7 recovered, so they are 100%. While Maharashtra has about more than 6,000, and they have only 13%. So it shows the importance and relevance of percentage. So as of today, when you do something with math with these kids, it becomes very important for children to understand and also to apply that why are they doing this whole concept, what's the reason behind it, and of course connecting it to real life situation does make it a little more interesting for them. uh, Ratio and percentages and graphs, yes, all of this could be done with regards to understanding what's the ratio, why there is the most important thing by doing this with children also gives them an understanding that why do they need to have, or why does the government actually need to extend the lockdown? What happens is many times children at home, they don't know what's exactly happening, and may have a very tough time into adjust to this whole new situation they all are catering to, which we all are hoping will not stay for long. But at the end of the day, if you give them basic understanding of such things, they say, oh, so basically only 13% of people have actually recovered. That means there's a lot of danger outside. We should increase the social distancing and wait for things to settle down. Rather than creating panic, we should give them valuable numbers for them to understand. So that gives them a different perspective of looking at this situation as well. So, uh, welcome all of you. I mean, since I don't know how many of you have joined in now or have been there from the last session also, a lot of you, there's a combination. So, for those who've just joined in, I'd like to tell you that the purpose of doing this investigation is to try and give children a very simple idea about what math is all about in such situations. And it does, always allow children to look at maths from a different perspective. Try to look at everything from an investigation point of view. When you give them an opportunity to investigate, they feel that they have some sort of authority or some sort of analytical mind, and that's why you're given that to them. And when you give them certain tasks, they start realizing that how this whole situation could be expressed in terms of numbers and in terms of different concepts of math. So I'm going to be giving you a simple understanding about whenever we do any kind of math investigation, we always have to relate that to a simple outcome, and that is based on a certain model that I personally follow. I've posted that model down. I'll be talking about this. So basically, I focus a lot on math essays when it comes to investigation. Why do we do an investigation is the most important part. I mean, uh, we need to see the relevance of numbers. Just number crunching or doing a fast calculation or reaching the answer is not the complete use of math. The complete use of math is after you got the answer. So many a times when children do a three-digit number multiplied by a five-digit number, and they think they've achieved a lot, which is a good skill set, but the question arises with whatever answer you get, what are you going to do with that answer? I mean, what's the end result of it? So, uh, it is very important for us to follow a very structured format, which is why I bring to you an important method, which is called as math essay, which works very well from grade 5 onwards. There are four components of this math essay. It comprises of the EIFA model. It gives you to explore or to research. So, what are you exploring? What are you giving them to research? Is it the current scenario? Is it the another interesting aspect is what is going to happen. How is the Olympics really going to get affected? Because Olympics got cancelled this year. So for the next year, it will be the first time an Olympics will be there in a non-leap year. What are the kind of impact will it have in terms of games? So will there be any changes, or will the next round again be affected, or will there be any kind of, will there be a leeway, or how will the whole trial system work? Everything can be done in terms of exploring and researching. The advantage that we have right now is that all the kids are at home under parental super guidance, and they are all guided by their parents to know or to do certain amount of research without any trouble. So as an educator, it's easier for you to give them some information to do some research using the internet. And since the parents are going to be overlooking them, it's quite comfortable for the kids to also get the kind of right information. Second part would be to investigate the math application. So let's say, for example, if I talk about a cricket pitch. So why is a cricket pitch, does it have a parallel line? Why does it not have a parallel line? So if you see, when you look at a cricket pitch properly, it looks like a rectangular shape. But when you see it at the actual ground, the rectangular part has actually been highlighted. But towards the ends on the where the wickets are placed, that's not a very proper closed shape. So that part does not impact the game. So it doesn't matter if it's not in rectangle, not in a parallel line. But the main two parts of the pitch, these two have to be in parallel line. The wickets have to be in a parallel line. The crease line have to be in a parallel line. The perpendicular bisectors, every single thing has to be dedicated towards maths. So we have to give them a proper approach that why do you need to investigate a mathematical concept in this situation. So the minute children start writing the logic or the reason behind why do they need to put math in this investigation, the whole process becomes more realistic and more approachable for kids rather than just trying to follow those instructions or follow a formula in particular given to them. The third part would be based on facts. Now, talking about facts, whatever facts they are given or they have access to, it is very important for them to relate and understand that how these facts are actually going to be playing around, what exactly this concept is going to do. And the most important is uh, which facts am I supposed to consider and which I'm not supposed to consider. So children become validators, and this allows you as an educator to impart a very important skill set to avoid fake news in these times of crisis. When children use a mathematical investigative tool, they tend to realize that, okay, this site or this place of publication is not the right source for them to trust. But while the others, because they have done enough research, they have access to 10 different websites, so they know which one is real news, which one is fake news. So that becomes a very important and a relevant to be discussing. Apart from that, the next part comes, which is the most important part, and maybe you could say the heart of the math essay is the analysis. So the first three parts are based on a little bit on technical aspect, but while the last part, which is based on analysis, it mainly talks about how do you analyze the data that is given in front of you. So if I was to talk about the recovery rate, uh, I could do an analysis saying that maybe a state which has got the least recovery rate needs more medical supplies. That means that the recovery is not very good. So just finding out the percentage is not sufficient. We need to know what measures have to be taken. Uh, what are the reasons why that state is facing with a lot of deaths over there, or they are not improvising? Do they not have enough hospital beds, or do they not have enough medical supplies? So those things they form a part of the analysis part. Now, what we plan to do is that every topic in the senior section, we will be looking at it from a investigative model type. I have been making an appeal to a lot of teachers across all platforms across the globe, with all the people I've been working with, trying to give them a perspective that the month of May is like a golden mine for all the schools. All the children are going to be on vacation. They can't travel anywhere. But what they can do is they can use this time constructively, give them assignments which are completely out of the box, give them essays or reports to write, let them put as many numbers as possible, tell them to think completely. Like, for example, uh, our situation out here, maybe for people who don't know the area or locality where we live, our place has been on a complete lockdown for the last few days, and every single thing, including milk, is to be delivered to our house. You're not supposed to step out. So in such a situation, how is the government actually working out the logistics? Like, at what rate is the government trying to transfer goods from one place to the other? What route are they following? Completing the logistical problem. Why is e-commerce not opening up? Why is a lot of people who are in distress? Why is the food still scarce? How is the agriculture impacted? Every single thing that you look at it can all be interrelated. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a very small task again, and you have a solution called as a math essay. You have an approach. Now, if you all were supposed to give one assignment to your children of your grade, considering the current COVID situation, I would like all of you to take about 2 to 3 minutes, frame a question which is very, very interesting, for which will generate the interest for your child, and each one of you is going to post that question in the chat box. And apart from that, please do not post it for the next 5 minutes. Let others also think. It's 4:34, so no more answers should come in till 4:40 at least, for that matter. Till 4:40, please hold all your answers to yourself. Post 4:40, others could start posting it, and we'll have a good round of discussion that how this concept could relate to another concept of mathematics, and how each one of them are actually interrelated. So, and at about 5:15, we'll start taking a few questions also. So all your questions also will be answered. We'll try our best to do so. But your time for 5 minutes starts now, and at 4:40 sharp, only till then, I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to keep myself silent for a while. Yes, Divyaji, I'll repeat myself. I have shared a concept of a math essay, which could be a good tool for children to express themselves or mathematize their experiences. As an educator or a teacher, we would request you to come up with one question or one task that you would like to give your children when it comes to giving them an assignment or something for the month of May, when children are going to be on a complete break. So if you would like to give them one task based on the current situation where they could write a math essay. uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. So I would want all of you to please prepare that question, and at 4:40 sharp, we will again open the conversation. Till then, please think of it. Do not post any answers over here. 4:40, you can start posting all your questions, and we'll be discussing a few good ones one-on-one with you also. Sure, ma'am, you can go ahead, and I'll definitely uh, speak to you later. Yes, Minaz Khan. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we would prefer the current situation, but if you have a better approach in terms of giving them a task, please feel free to go ahead. I would prefer it current situation, but it's not a compulsion. You have 4 minutes to go.
Okay, I think few people are confused that the session is over. The session is not over. Divesh sir has given you a task to write down a question or frame a assignment question for students that you will use to give them a number related task, uh, taking into account the current situation. So just think of it, and in the next 2 minutes post it in the comments so we all can discuss it, how we can use those things with our students and how useful they will be in driving the understanding of math investigation.
Okay, everyone's questions. Mortality rates of cancer, road accidents, and compared COVID-19. Very good idea. What's the probability of schools becoming virtual schools forever? Very interesting thought and a good plan of action. Ma'am, I think I don't know about the permanent situation, but I'm sure in case of any tough time or in any in terms of heavy rains and all, I think now this is a good idea for all of us to explore. Which geographical area got affected more with less recovery rate? What is the percentage of the reason behind it? Yes, Manisha ji, that's a fabulous one. Construct a pie chart using the following information link. Yes, very true. Keep a track of number of identified cases and the number of recovered from 1st May to 30th May. Analyze the data of different research. Measure all the state could have taken to combat these cases. Fantastic, Smita ma'am. I think your idea is quite good month by month analysis because we had enough data from March, then April, and then from May as well to analyze that. Very good. They compare it with the different months. Shabnam ma'am, When was the first COVID case hit in India and how the number kept on increasing? Make a bar graph of increasing rates before and after. Yes, very good. Math happiness index. Select the list and duration of fun activities for the month and represent on the graph. Okay, that's quite an interesting task, Reena ma'am. Flights from China to various countries which may have caused the spread. Fantastic. I think that is a very good point to explore. Uh, we have from Silver Oaks, Bangalore, comparison of measures taken by different world leaders to prevent the spread of COVID. Okay, that's a good point. Curves of different countries, infection rates, death rates, recovery rates, investigate data analysis comparison, ensuring data is collected from a reliable source, conclusions on what most effective measures are. Yes, very interesting, Mitsu ma'am. Compare the percentage of doctors affected while treating the patients. That's a very interesting point. I think that data is not like everybody is looking for, but yeah, that will open a lot of people's eyes. When was the first COVID case reported in India? How many days it took to jump to 500 and then 5,000 and then 10,000 and so on? Why do you think it happened so? Very, very interesting question, Swati ma'am. Um, Swati Singh ji, we have chapters related to circle concept area, a person with this thing, corner of rectangular cubical room, and find out the area of the person which is in a danger zone now. Swati Singh ji, that's a fantastic idea. I love the way you've been putting your questions. Uh, Believe me, all the teachers, y'all are doing a fabulous job. I'm really impressed to see the kind of questions you've come up with. Um, Explored how state government is able to supply vegetables and government is able to. Okay, fine. So, is temperature a factor for COVID increase? Yes, we can figure that out. How is math used while playing indoor games? Okay. Analyze the data of any country. Something apart from COVID, what exactly is negative fuel price? Yes, that's a very interesting question. How fuel prices are fixed in India, why fuel prices don't decrease when it is decreased in international market. Very good food for thought. Expand the number of affected people in different states. Yes, this is excellent questions that is actually there. I'm really, really happy to see all these questions coming up. They look very, very good. Okay, I'm just going one by one again. I lost a few questions. Graph between the showing of the relation of infected and in recovery rate for frontline warriors and also patients. What is the role of an individual to take to protect yourself and your country from increasing cases? Yes, that could also be interested. State-wise expats and cases. Yes, that's also an interesting thing because expats are usually who do visit different countries. Yes. Effect on banking schemes. Okay. Chapter surface area and volume. Find the surface area of coronavirus diameter. Oh, wow. Swatiji, you're on a roll, I guess. Reena ji, analyzing the impact of COVID on small scale industry sector. Yes, very good use of math and economics. Compare the COVID recovery situation in all the states in India. Which state has the most recovery rate? Wow. Now imagine the number of projects you guys can actually give your children is enormous. And now that you have a structure in place, I would like to invite anybody who'd like to join in and have a quick word after going through all these relevant questions. We're getting a few more. Okay. Just 1 second hold. Okay. So we'll go back to the questions. Yeah, loss of classroom hours. No, we'll go ahead Lakshmi ma'am's question. How math is helping to answer crucial COVID-19 questions. Yes, how the exponential growth is actually happening and how can you control that? Okay. Yes. Sorry for the Small gap. Yeah. How many types of treatment different countries are trying to treat the COVID-19, which is more effective, including plasma treatment? Okay. What is the ratio of cold countries being affected compared to tropical regions? Is temperature a factor for COVID-19 increase? Yes. Will the impact of COVID be seen on the physical deficit? Yes. Finances affected for the production of machines and research is done. Vaccines during the pandemic? Yes. Very important. I think if we make a copy of all these assignments, I think we will not have anything but a bunch of interesting targets to give children that, what they can do in the next whole month. And I think they're going to be happily occupied doing all of this. Okay, so we have anything else? No, okay. So now I'd like to have a discussion on these topics that have come up, and they seem quite interesting. Anybody who would like to just join in and discuss and share your views? Um, yes, Meenas ji, comparing what you before and after the lockdown. I would like to have anybody who would like to join in, or should I call out the names? Anybody would like to volunteer? Okay. I think I'll have to call out a few people who would like to share their views. Uh, can we go with Amala, ma'am? Ma'am, if you're listening to us, could you share your views on this, on whatever assignments you've seen? Amala, ma'am, can you hear me?
Hello, good evening, sir. I'm sorry to disturb you. Can I speak
Please
a
go
few
ahead.
words?
Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
There was one question in that assignment. Compare the recovery rates across India for all the states. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
in this type, apart from maths, they can add more information. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I read a news about Kerala just 2 days back. The Kerala
Mm-hmm.
was the first state across India who has started the corona test right in January, 2 months before the lockdown. Okay, so they have
Hmm.
started their test, and that is the reason why they are opening the state before lockdown. Now they have
Hmm.
recovered almost 90 or 95% they have recovered, and now they have opened before lockdown. So
Mm-hmm.
this
Okay.
information also can be added with that.
Interesting. That's quite a good way of looking at it. Uh, yes, can we have different projects to different groups and then have a complete research of the pandemic? Yes, very true. That is how we could go about it. I had a request about four more discussions before we can move ahead. Any four who would like to, anyone else who would like to join us? Anyone, please volunteer and unmute yourself and join us. I'm pretty sure it's all our community can speak up about it. Quick, someone. I don't want to take up too much time. Can we call Swati ji, Swati Singh, or someone else who's opened up? Please speak.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Namaste, sir. This is Swati Singh.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. So there are a number of ways in which we can include mathematics and different chapters in mathematics. So
Mm-hmm.
we can kindly just run through all the data which we have related to corona virus, the overview related to what is going on, and just ask
Mm-hmm.
children to come up from their own end that what would they like to
Mm-hmm.
present to us. Select any chapter and
Mm-hmm.
present something to us related to mathematics and this corona 19. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Um, okay. And can we have someone else? Okay. Anyone else would like to join us?
So this is
Can
Amit
we
here
call in?
again. So
Yeah.
I think students would also be keen on evaluating But how many classroom hours of learning they've lost, which is otherwise not possible due to online learning because we are conscious of screen time. Most of the students are just having 2 lectures a day. So they are missing out on
Correct.
the difference of the time they would have otherwise learned one to one at school versus the
Mhm.
2 lectures that they have on a daily basis is actually accruing learning loss. So that's something
Yeah.
that the kids can calculate.
Yeah, because they may be able to do some amount of portion through online, but they can't do their physical activities, their other classes, what all have they lost, and everything which they lose out. They could do a good amount of calculation. Thank you so much, sir, for your input. I would love to have Chaitali ji, if you can hear me, could you join us? Or Ashok, sir, if you could also join us. Okay, both of them. Anybody who could hear us, please join in.
So I want to add one more point regarding negative fuel pricing. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Apart from this COVID-19, there is a one more important thing going on, that is negative fuel pricing. And just day
Mm-hmm.
before yesterday, I have seen one meme on my WhatsApp regarding this negative fuel pricing. It was like consumer went to petrol pump, he filled his tank, and then he was asking for 350 rupees to him because it's negative fuel pricing. That creates a yes, that was a joke, but that creates a misunderstanding about negative fuel pricing. What exactly is negative fuel pricing means? The investor who has invested in this fuels, they don't want the supply of fuel now. So because of that, the price of crude oil is decreasing. So
Correct.
the consumer will think that if that is decreasing on international scale, why we are not getting petrol at less price. So the news I read just 2 days before is now central
Mm.
government has decided to increase the tax on fuel so that they will get more money from this fuel pricing. So if we tell the students to find out what exactly is excise duty on petrol and how exactly it
Mm.
works, and if they increase by 3%, then how much revenue they will generate from this. Means if we give
Mm.
them the amount of fuel which is been sold in India for a day, so if the
Mm-hmm.
excise duty increases by 3% or some percent, then how much revenue the government will get from it. So in this way they will understand this basic knowledge also, and they will get to know what percentage exactly does in this case.
Wonderful. I think that's a fabulous way of giving them a real life situation to actually explore. Ashok ji, you shared something. We have a curriculum cumulative frequency graph. Students can find quartiles, can relate the maximum number of corona patients increased. Yes, that's a good point for them because children are the right soldiers for us who will actually eventually take up social distancing very seriously, and they are the ones whom we have to educate in such a situation. Swati ji, you've given value-based question. Are you saving the nature? What amount of paper did you save? Thus, what about the number of trees you saved? Consider relation. One tree makes about 16.67 reams of copy paper. I think that's a fantastic use. I think because of most of our office work has gone online, and because of lack of movement, most of the important documents are considered. The scanned documents are being accepted, and everything is submitted online because of which we are getting a big advantage of saving a lot of paper. So yeah, that's a fantastic question to look at it. Um, okay, so we look at the next aspect of it. Maybe trying to look at how we could explore the concept of say GST. Giving children an idea about GST and making them understand what GST is actually implied on, what would have happened if at all common products would have the government would have let go of GST about the basic products, what would have actually led to it, and stuff like that. These are a few things which we could also relate in today's time, giving them the concept of financial planning. under keeping in mind how are we actually going to manage, how does a household manage in a situation where the income is impacted, because not every household depends on a fixed salary, or the fixed salary may not be up to 100% because of the current lockdown. So in any of the case, how do you come up with a contingency plan? Do you know how much money do you need if you need to survive for 3 months? I think that's the next part of any financial planner is actually going to say that, do you really have enough money to run your house for 3 months, considering you won't have any income? That's the kind of money we should be saving. Just a suggestion. Ushaji, yes, the impact of lockdown on the environment, the pollution before and after the lockdown, I think a lot of international communities are speaking about it, and they are mentioning that how uh, all of this is, allowing the wildlife to move freely on the road. The skies have become clearer, and this impact definitely does give children a little bit of thought to focus at how they are actually, how we are actually polluting our environment. Uh, Another important part, what I have done is, or another important practice that I do is, I'm sure all of us scan a lot of e-newspapers right now. Every article which talks about any important numbers, I take that clipping and I start, creating questions out of it. I think that's a good practice. You all have given some brilliant questions already. We could start putting that across and start looking at how can we, evaluate those numbers. And most importantly, like say for example, there was this one article in Hindustan Times that I'm going through, which talks about the importance of testing. So the number of tests done in every state. Now, this is a slightly critical question. I don't know how many of you would actually agree with me or this or not. This is my personal opinion. What I personally feel is that every day when you switch on the news channels, you see a good amount of number of cases increased day by day. But what is not actually disclosed on news channels is the number of tests have increased proportionately quite high. So when the number of tests are increased quite high, it's bound to get more cases obviously out of it. So only the rate at which the testing and the cases, that correlation, if at all, that could be shared with the public, I think everyone would have a little bit of peace of mind that, okay, this is not something which is, because everyone's getting worried or getting, worked up seeing the whole situation. So the importance of testing and how exactly can we use that in different parts of our investigation could be done. Uh, we also did a basic question on, an assignment which we did. I'm just going to share a few ideas out here about identifying the application of algebra. So forming an equation, keeping in mind the fact that, okay, if we need to survive for 1 week and none of the shops are going to be open. So what do we need to buy today? We need bread, we need milk, we need some vegetables, we need some fruits. We create all of that. We create an equation. We identify the total cost, and now we make an assumption that if at all the whole society has to go through that, or if a certain community who is stuck, so what is the kind of money that the government is actually spending on them? Is it actually sufficient or is it not sufficient? Compare this with one of the articles which came out recently, which spoke about the measures that each and every state across the country is taking, and correlate that with the equation that you've created and see that, okay, we have about 1 lakh people who are in distress. Is this budget actually sufficient or no? So justify the application of creating these expressions. Uh, Use algebraic terms and then actually use that with the outside world and see if that is actually making sense or no. Mahalakshmi ma'am has said growth rate can be compared to progression and number of cases could be protected in the coming days. Yes, that's very important by seeing the jump week by week and trying to identify how do you go about that. It definitely adds a lot of value. So moving apart from that, I think we can open a round of good question answers, because we all have identified how investigation would actually work for mathematics. If you have any specific question or a specific topic you would like to discuss or identify how we could do investigation based on that, I would request you to put up your question there, or just feel free and come on this on the platform and come and speak. Vandana ji, you mentioned, is this virus healing the earth? Is this kind of critical thinking could be asked, even sparsely and moderate populated region can be compared. Yes, absolutely. You can identify the measures or the impact of what has happened. I'm sure when we all walk out of our houses the next time, we all are going to see that, wow, the whole planet was so different. I mean, how things have actually been. So yes, definitely we'll be looking forward to it. And that's a good question. And I'm open to asking questions for the next half an hour, and we'd like to have a chat. So people, please feel free. Either you come on just unmute your mic and start asking questions, or you could put it on the chat box also. Whatever is convenient, I'm open to taking questions.
Sir, Amit here again. So, is
Yeah,
there a categorization of topics for various grades? I speak about grades because, again, after coming to school, I've realized that grade-wise, students have been divided and they have various levels of understanding as they progress to higher grades.
correct. So, if you ask me, I mean, when I say categorization, uh, if you look at any common textbook as of today, and you look at a grade 6 textbook and you look at a grade 10 textbook of math, the concepts just keep getting improvised and they all built upon each other. So I would personally feel that it's more concept oriented rather than grade oriented. It's just that because with the help of these grades, we've been able to identify the learning pattern. So we've classified that so it becomes easier. But even if you ask a grade 10th child, he would need basic concepts like decimal fractions, percentage at any given point of time, or ratios for that matter. So it's never going to be that he's never going to need it. So yeah, I would say I hope I've got your question correct. But in case if I haven't, could you please repeat that? Because I assumed that you meant do we need categorization or no? Okay, I'm assuming that the question was answered fine. Okay, so Vandana ji, I think the last question that you put up was really good. Anyone else who would like to add more? I mean, would I like to ask questions, put it up on the chat, or could unmute yourself and start asking? We have some time left on our plate. Let's make the most of it.
Yes, yes, please, Virat sir, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Very good afternoon, good evening, sir, and good evening, all the other participants. It's really nice, a very wonderful discussion going on. And just a small thing that I wanted to add, what I felt very deeply is like I am coming basically from Mumbai. And
Okay.
there's a saying, that throughout it goes like always, like Mumbai is a city that never sleeps. But then I could witness that Mumbai has slept completely along with all the other cities and countries where there is no crowd outside. What to say, even stores, shops, groceries, everything is like closed. Maybe for 1 hour, 2 hours, it is open for on each day. So keeping all these things in mind, and moreover the wonderful questions and also the awesome activities that teachers are posting in the chat box, reading all that, what I could feel. So if we do all these activities and if we share all these things with the children, so after all this, we will have a thorough study of so much of resources available, which were available before the lockdown, and which are available, minimum amount of resources which are available right now during the lockdown. And with that, we will get a very clear, crisp understanding what is the difference between the need and the luxury. Like before the
Bilkul.
lockdown, we were just living our lives as it is. Whatever the need was, we tried to overdo it. We always needed
Hmm.
more and more. General human tendency of mankind. But in this particular situation, we have actually realized that no, like instead of 10, like three is also enough in order to manage my family. So I think this data would help all the student community, which are the future citizens of our country, to have a very clear, crisp thinking about the future and to manage all the resources available at their home, at the offices, and for that case, even human resources. I think this would be a very nice lesson, I would say, to everybody, for everybody to, what to say, a change, make a small modulation in their lifestyle, because we never know in future, god forsake, like such a situation should not come anytime. But in case if such a situation comes anytime, like whether it is a natural calamity or else like any such epidemic kind of thing, or else maybe a terrorist attack where we have to be locked in our houses, how to manage. So if we learn this quite very well, I think we would be what to say, in a better position to use the resources more judiciously and live our lives more meaningfully, taking care of ourselves as well as everybody and everything around. That is a small point that I wanted to add. I hope it makes sense.
It does a lot. Fantastic idea, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that on the platform.
Welcome.
Anyone else? Please feel free to shoot. I know a couple of you have been here for long, and if you have any question, please go ahead and let's discuss it out.
Yes, friends, please go ahead, ask any questions you may have. We will also be posting this recording on our YouTube channel. So eventually, if you have any questions later on that come to your mind, you can always post it over there as well. So it's a connected world. Well, of course, nothing better than an opportunity to ask your question right away if you want to. So I guess there are not more questions as of now. Friends, please feel free to express your thoughts on this session. Divesh sir has been very kind to devote a huge chunk of his time to us and specifically do it for primary teachers and secondary educators. So we are really thankful to Divesh sir for doing this for us. And it's been a wonderful session, very insightful. And please feel free to share your feedback, thoughts. Just unmute yourself and you could share your thoughts.
Amit sir, I would like to say something.
Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Yeah. Namaste, Divesh sir.
Namaste.
Sir, I am a PRO of Ratna International School. So when I was studying in school, math was my one of the favorite subject. So it was so nice to attend your session, and it will help to teach my daughter. She's in grade 3 to multiplications and division, where she gets stuck when she's memorizing, especially the tables. So thanks for giving us the innovative ideas to teach tables to those kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Most welcome, ma'am. I'm glad it's going to be helpful.
Mr. Bathija, Kalyani Chaudhary here.
Yes,
I think how you connected real life with mathematics is what we need in the classrooms. Children look at the textbook, look at the number of sums, and they are intimidated. But if we connect them with the scenario outside, bring that into the classroom and then teach the concept, I think they will look forward to more such investigations. So I have thoroughly enjoyed the investigation, though I did not enter the calculation part as all the other teachers were doing it. I'm not a math person, so I didn't risk myself. So the next time I'll try that too. But I have thoroughly enjoyed that. And the questions that have come from the teachers are extremely interesting. I appreciate each and every teacher's thought process, which has gone into framing of the question. How deep the thought is, if that is conveyed to the child, the children will also start framing questions. Framing questions is one of the most difficult things to do. Answering a question is easy, but framing a question is very difficult. So if we can teach them even this skill through mathematics, they will enjoy mathematics, and I don't think anybody will have math as a bugbear. So thank you so much for this interesting session, and we would surely connect for more. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words.
Thank you for your feedback, Kalyani ma'am. In fact, to add on to what ma'am said, we have an interesting concept in the world of digital professionals called crowdsourcing. So if I were to be a math teacher, I would divide the class into two and ask all of them to frame questions for each other, and that would give them get them thinking about how math would actually be in their lives, and where can they identify
Yeah,
mathematics coming into the play.
yes, absolutely. If they understand the practicality of maths in their life, then probably they'll take math as a friend and not as a foe.
True,
Absolutely, ma'am.
very true.
Absolutely.
Great. So thank you so much, everyone, for being a wonderful audience. I know you all have been very patient enough. You're most welcome, Ashok ji. Glad to have you out here. Thank you so much. Wonderful. I'm glad to see all the positive feedback.
Well, of course, Divesh sir, you've been very patient with all of us, and given us some real valuable insights, and most importantly, the way we could get thinking. So I think teaching mathematics is one thing, but teaching how to think mathematics is the most important takeaway for me from this session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to having you here
Most
many
welcome.
more times on our platform.
Most welcome. Sure, ma'am. Sure, sir. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Hello,
Thank
sir.
you so much, everyone. I think,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
go ahead, ma'am.
Hello, this is Jaya here. I would like to add on my points regarding the session today. Thoroughly enjoyed the discussion. Whatever we had, the questions, the investigation questions, and what I feel it will enhance the critical thinking ability among students. And one thing which I would like to add is, if we can give a project that is of transdisciplinary in nature, that means math can be one aspect of the project. So, the other subjects also can be connected to that project. It will help the students in this lockdown, especially the situation, to engage with a lot of interest. And, this is just my thought. Thank you.
No, it's very true. Thank you so much, Jaya, ma'am. I think that's something which all educators have to eventually do and are already doing it, I'm assuming. In every classroom, interdisciplinary is very, very important. And yes, like you said, math is there in every subject possible. So, yeah, I mean, why not connect everything? Fantastic idea. Thank you so much for your feedback. And I'm sure all the other teachers who've also heard this would start thinking on the same lines.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Jaya ma'am, for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, Divesh sir. Thank you so much for being here. With this,
Most welcome.
I'd like to thank you for being with us. I'd like to thank all our participants. Please do check your inbox for the link. You could also join. You could also get to our YouTube channel, Ram Ratna International School Official, and we'll be posting the recording of this session as over there as well. So if you, well, of course, ma'am, session one and session two, the videos will take some time to process and for us to get onto YouTube. So we will be posting the recordings on our YouTube channel, and you could subscribe to our channel for more such thoughts coming in from some really amazing people like Divesh sir. And our recording for yesterday is already there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Divesh sir, for a wonderful session. I'd like to thank everybody for joining in. Thank you so much.